Hey, what up YouTube? Long time no see. This is the Merman Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders YouTube channel today with a brand new video and a brand new deck profile. Today I am bringing to you scraps courtesy and with a shout out to my boy Jamal Good. Big shout outs to him for hooking me up with this deck. Now, as you guys know, this deck is one of those really old 5Ds era deck that is just coming back now with the announcement of Scrap Wyvern. Basically, I wanted this deck, and nobody else wanted this deck, and my boy wanted True Dracos, so we did a one-to-one switch for True Dracos for scraps, and I couldn't be more than more happy with the trade. So guys, without further ado, let's get into this profile. Start things off, guys, we got 3 copies of Scrap Beast. Now, before I start doing things, I'm going to say that this deck is very much a rough draft. So the idea behind this deck is you want to destroy your cards, and then when your scrap monsters are destroyed by other scrap cards effects, they can get you different other types of effects. So Scrap Beast, for instance, starts off as a level 4 tuner, and then when it's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, then you get to add any scrap back to your from your graveyard back to your hand. And that's an effect that's shared by most other scrap monsters. You really pretty much run this as a level 4 tuner. I'm waxing between running like either 4 or 3. Next card is a Jamal Special. 3 copies of Scrap Worm. He used to run this in Sky Striker Scrap. You can use this with Scrap, Recycler in order to make Maturia Beast, and that's a really, really good card. I don't have Scrap Recycler currently because Orcus players are running it, and that shit is way too expensive. Scrap Worm is good because it's one of the only scrap cards in this deck that can trigger itself by its own effect. So that what you do is you're running Scrap Worm whenever it can attack directly, and when it attacks directly, it pops itself at the end of the battle phase. So that's very good. Next card I'm running is another card that I'm thinking about cutting the numbers down, but 3 Scrap Goblin. This card used to be the best at walling off your opponent until that they could get some serious benefits off. So Scrap Goblin, its effect is basically, it's kind of like a Spirit Reaper until the end of the battle phase, and then it pops itself and then gets that same effect to add from the graveyard back to the hand. So that's really good. Now for the best card in the whole deck, Scrap Golem. Yes, it's a level 5, but you still run this card in here because of how good it is. Scrap Golem's special power is that once per turn, it can special summon any scrap monster back from the graveyard. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it was properly summoned first, Scrap Golem can get it back from the graveyard. So that is a fantastic special ability, and since this is a 5Ds era archetype, it's a once per turn effect and not a hard once per turn effect, meaning you get to basically, anytime you special summon a Scrap Golem, you get a free special summon from the grave. He's one of your few non-tuners in the deck as well, so that also works out quite well. Now, for one of my personal favorites in the deck, Scrap Orthros. This card speeds up the deck so much when it special summons when you control a scrap, and then you can pop a scrap monster on the field. The good thing is it targets, so you can chain other effects to your scrap pops, and of course get cards back from your graveyard with that effect. Now, moving on, I have 1 copy of Scrap Mind Reader, basically for the graveyard recursion and special summoning ability that he has. Really, really good card for you to just basically continue on with your plays in that respect. I thought about running a couple of other things in here, and I'm going to go into a couple of ideas that I have for this extra deck, but I think Scrap Mind Reader is good. Problem is, he only can activate during main phase 2 and must pop a card when he comes back onto the board. So he's not as good as some of the other ones, but at the same time, he's still really good. Then, this is kind of surprising, just 1 copy of Chimera. Chimera is really good because it is basically a wolf bark, for those who don't know. When it's normal summon, special summons any scrap back from the graveyard. And then, but the problem is it can only activate this effect when it's normal summon. So I might bump this number up. I've got 2 more coming in the mail, so I'm going to think about how I like it, but this card can basically be searched off of Scrap Storm, provided you have a scrap on the field, and anytime it's in the graveyard, you can easily add it back, so you always have it in your hand and it's ready to use. Basically one of those there when you want it, never when you don't. These 2 cards, token generators for Link, and become really, really good in when the other card comes out. When the Scrap Wyvern comes out, so you can use Scrap Recycler with these guys to get it. As I said, this is still a very rough draft deck. Now, guys, moving on to the spells. 3 copies of Scrap Factory, one of the best cards in the entire deck. Scrap Factory basically boosts your scraps by 200 points apiece, and then if a scrap monster is destroyed, you can special summon any scrap monster you want from your deck to the field. Really, really good card. And can't say enough good things about it. Basically allows you to pop off with Orthros and all your other stuff, and basically get you a golem. If you special summon Orthros, Orthros pops itself or something else, you get a golem and then special summon it. 3 copies of Scrap Yard. Add any tuner, scrap monster from your deck to your hand. That's pretty much most of your deck. Not once per turn as well. That 5/0 goodness. Next, guys, we have 3 copies of Supply Squad. Kind of a win more card, but basically, anytime your monsters are destroyed, which is a lot, Supply Squad draws you a card, and then they stack. 3 copies of Instant Fusion, getting monsters out to help make your Synchro Summons and Link Summons a little bit easier. And then 3 copies of Mind Control. Scrap Wyvern and your monsters, have a lot of level-based monsters on the field, so you can easily get things you need for Synchros and Link Summons because it's so, typical of the way the deck works. And you're getting a monster you can use for a summon and removing a threat from your opponent's side of the field at the same time. No reason not to run it. Next, this should be a Monster Reborn, but it's just in here because my Monster Reborns are in other decks. Guts of Steel. You're not running Guts of Steel. It's a really terrible card. Then, of course, we got 1 Terraforming. And then we have Scrap Storm. I'm looking to get 2 more copies of this, but they are going to be coming in the mail. Scrap Storm's effect is basically kind of like Gemini Spark. Pop a scrap on board, and of course that scrap is going to gain its effect to add something back to the hand. And then you send any scrap you want from your deck to the graveyard, and then you draw a card. So basically, let's say you have Orthros or something like that in your graveyard or whatever. You pop Orthros, send Chimera, then draw a card, then Orthros' effect can add Chimera back to your hand, so you can then go for a normal summon. So you can do that or like a double summon or some kind of play with Scrap Storm, but it works really, really well. Now finally finishing us off, 1 for 1 to grab Mind Reader from the deck and send scraps to your graveyard. Foolish Burial, also good at sending scraps to your graveyard. And finally, Action Magic Double Banking for that OTK potential, and also sending scraps to the graveyard because you like getting them there. I am missing Scrap Shark and Scrap Searcher. Looking forward to getting those in the mail as well, and those are going to change the deck up a lot. And then finally, because that field spell is your make or break, 1 copy of Metaverse just so you can grab it. Now, guys, the extra deck, I'm still trying to figure out what the best cards to run in there. I've been waxing with the Red Dragon Archfiend stuff and other Abyss and things with Mind Reader and your other token cards. But right now, Sev, the 2 Scrap Dragons and the 3 Scrap Twins. You honestly go for the Scrap Twins way more than you go for the original Dragons. Original Dragons are okay, but they're very much sort of a relic in the past. And any deck that can make these, there's a lot of decks that can make them easier than Scraps. And, their effect justifies the cost in that respect. But in Scraps, you're basically fielding a lot of stuff and taking a lot of -1s for a Synchro. So that's a problem. Scrap Twin is kind of similar in that respect, but it's a level 9, which means it's very easy to go into with Golem and any of your level 4s. So that is great. That is fantastic. Basically, 2 different effects on these guys. This one pops a card you control to pop something your opponent controls. This one pops a card you control to target exactly two, and then send them back to the hand. And then the extra effect, of course, with these guys is both of them have the extra effect that when they're destroyed, you can special summon any non-synchro monster, scrap monster back from your graveyard. Of course, only by your opponent, but still very good. Lots of people who run Scrap Dragon don't realize that effect. But yeah. So guys, that's going to do it for my deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to bringing you this deck profile one more time, but better when Scrap Wyvern comes out. But hopefully this should hold you guys over for the lack of Scrap deck profiles on YouTube. And this has been the Mermail Master. Thank you so much. Shoutouts once again to Jamal. Happy birthday to JSA Adam. And we're signing out. Peace.